All right, guys. So first things first, the elephant in the room. I had a day off last week on Tuesday, and it's now Monday, but the sunburn is still affecting everything. So it's been pretty painful. All the skin's peeling. I did use sunblock, but Scandinavian ancestry, obviously I should have used a lot more and applied it more frequently. So let that be a lesson to you. Always put on a lot of sunblock and reapply. All right, so great news. We released our guide of video equipment for live streaming and recording in churches. I know that there's a lot of guides out there. The one that we did, we kind of focused on what can you use that's kind of like the best return on investment for what you're going to buy. You can go ahead and you can download that below by clicking the link that we've got in the comments. But right now for this video, I want to just touch on a few items that are some of my favorites and why they're some of my favorites, particularly from the starter kind of menu or the starter list there that we've got. And the first thing on the starter list is the Canon EOS Mark 50. And there we go. And I can't show you mine because I've actually got it up on the pedestal at the moment, and it is actually shooting this video. That's how much of a fan of it I am. I know it's super popular amongst YouTubers and things like that. As you can see, it does a pretty good job. It's got decent lighting. As long as you get decent lighting, it's going to do an okay job. The kit lens on it is good. It's maybe not going to be enough if you're like, 300 feet or about 100 meters away from, the subject, in which case you're going to probably need to choose some other type of lens. But for most of the stuff that you would do, it does a fantastic job. And it's cheap. Like, it's not inexpensive. It's really more kind of in that starter area. And one thing that a lot of churches don't think about when they're selecting some of this equipment is batteries and the ability to plug into a power adapter. And the nice thing is the EOS Mark 50, EOS 50 Mark II, it is able to take on these external battery packs that power it. So you don't have to worry about running out of battery if you're like in a studio or something like that. Wow, I just banged that down pretty hard. So that's my favorite camera. There's other great ones. Like we do get into kind of the intermediate level where we start looking at Blackmagic cameras and things like that. They're awesome, but if you're just starting out, man, that EOS M50 Mark II, it's pretty awesome. Just in terms of it'll do what you need it to do. One thing that I don't mention in the list is actually you can use just a regular old hand phone or to do your videos, especially if you're doing kind of that portrait kind of format for doing it, and it works pretty well. One thing that I would do though is I would go ahead and get like some sort of mount or something, because that gives you some options of throwing it onto a tripod or other piece of equipment, and then also you can mount up lights or microphones, things like that. It makes life a little bit easier. So if you are going around trying to do a little bit more complex shooting, interviews and things like that, it gives you a little bit more flexibility in terms of what you're doing. And flexibility is important. You don't want to buy a lot of equipment that you can only use for one thing. You don't want to buy equipment that all you do with it is use it for an hour or maybe 2 hours on Sunday. You want to be able to do ministry with your stuff all week long, right? You want to be able to give stuff to the youth department and say, hey, knock yourselves out, go do what you want to do. You can go with God, and not have to be worried about, are they going to be able to use it? What's going to happen if they ding it or break it or something like that? Pick equipment that you're willing to have people use and use a lot. And that's where I think something like the Canon is a great choice, because it's cheap, it's rugged, people use it all the time, it's simple. Another piece of equipment that I really love because of its simplicity and flexibility, and this is one I think every church should have, whether you're super big or super small, is the Rode Wireless Go 2. And the way these work is you've got a receiver, and you've actually got two transmitters. And you can either use a lavalier microphone, or these can actually be used as a microphone itself. So you can clip it onto shirt or something like that. One person can have each. That's perfect for things like announcements, for doing podcasty type of things, interviews, whatever type of stuff you'd kind of be doing where you might have two subjects talking at the same time or back and forth. Dramas, skits, whatever. These work fantastic for that. And it's super simple. You can either plug it into stuff using the USB port that it's got, or you can use the standard 3.5 millimeter. And if you've got like a camera or something, it's super easy. You just pop it in or pop it on, and you just plug it in, and there, you're set, right? Throw it onto a tripod or something. Easy way to be able to record two people with great audio. And sometimes audio is really the part that makes or breaks some of these videos. I've seen a lot of churches where even churches I've worked in where people came out, they set up the camera and everything, but then they didn't bother to set up the audio, even though they had something simple and easy to use like these Rode Wireless Go 2s. And then the audio just stunk. And so they play a video in the middle of service. Nobody can understand what's being said. Nobody can hear it. People were kind of grumbling about it. Whereas if you just throw on that wireless 2, throw one onto each person, you'd have had just fantastic, phenomenal audio. And it only takes a few seconds, right? Like, so simple to do. So those are some of my favorite things. If you've only got one camera that you're recording off of, it can be handy to have like one of these cam links. Let's see if we get a 2. There we go. They're good for taking that HDMI out of the camera, but you don't necessarily have to. Right now I'm operating off of USB. You can't get like a full high def off of USB usually because it can't quite do the compression, but and that's why you usually need these. But there's other ways to do that, and if you're using two or more cameras, I wouldn't probably bother. And I do think that you should probably be moving toward using two cameras. So if you're doing like a live stream or something, which is really what you'd usually use this for, you might as well just get like a Blackmagic, a little tiny switcher, be able to input two sources. And the reason for that is if you have two cameras, it makes it really easy on your volunteers to be able to switch back and forth. And like when I took over a church live stream, the very first thing that I did was come in and I just plopped down a second camera and the volunteers were like, why isn't this going to make things more difficult? And I go, just trust me. So we just took one of them, we just wide shotted the whole congregation. And so anytime that they needed to move a camera or do something, they had an option of just plopping up to the wide shot. And everybody that was watching these videos just thought, oh wow, this is very professional, very well done. Really, it's just kind of clunky and stuff, and you're just switching over to the wide shot so that nobody realizes that you're manipulating, trying to move around your other shot. But it just makes life so much easier on especially volunteers that aren't full-time professional live video production type of folks. But also if you got two cameras, it helps with like doing interviews and stuff like that, because you can later in post, you can do your cuts and things like that, and you can cut out parts of the video, and instead of having to do a jump cut, you can cut to the other camera and make it look like it was all fluid and continuous. And nobody's any wiser because it was a camera change. So it's really handy to have one. And if you've gone with one of these kind of basic cameras, it's not very expensive to have two. In a pinch you can also set up a phone or something like that for your second one, but you may as well just get two that are the same so that it's consistent and easy to use and easy to work with. All right, so that about covers some of my favorite stuff, at least stuff that I've kind of got here with me in the room. Like I said, we've got the full total list of everything that's on the starter, the intermediate, and the advanced list. Go ahead and look down below and there's a link to download that. Anyhow, it's been a great week. I'm going to throw on some more aloe vera, and you guys have a good week yourselves. See you later.